The night sky above Earth was shattered by a violent explosion. Adam Pearce, a captain in the Earth's last surviving fleet, gripped the controls of his warship as it hurtled through space. Around him, the once mighty human defense fleet was in ruins, torn apart by relentless waves of alien warships. The silence of space was broken only by the high-pitched beeping of the ship's warning systems. His heart raced. Earth's final hope rested on him now. If he failed, humanity would be wiped out forever. Adam glanced at his crew, all looking as lost as he felt. Their faces, illuminated by the cold glow of the control panel, reflected the harsh reality of their situation. The war had been long, but they never imagined it would end like this. The aliens, a technologically superior species that had once been mere allies, now showed their true colors. They were not here to negotiate. They were here to conquer. The alien fleet, led by an AI-driven flagship, had advanced so far beyond humanity's understanding of technology that it seemed impossible to stop. Adam and his small crew were the last survivors, holding on to the hope that somehow, against all odds, they could turn the tide. But the situation was grim. Their cloaking devices were the only thing standing between them and certain death. Adam spoke, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Activate the cloaking device. Now." The crew scrambled to obey, fingers flying over buttons as the ship's cloaking system engaged, making the ship invisible to the enemy. For a brief moment, there was silence. The constant explosions and laser fire that had filled the airwaves disappeared. Adam exhaled, allowing himself a moment of relief. But it was short-lived. The calm only made the fear in his chest grow stronger. They couldn't hide forever. The alien forces were everywhere, their fleet a wall of steel and firepower. "Captain," came the voice of Lieutenant Sarah Johnson, her words tight with fear. "They're scanning the area. They'll find us soon." Adam's eyes narrowed. He glanced at the redouts, noticing the eerie glow of the alien ships in the distance, their massive forms barely visible against the stars. The enemy was searching for them with pinpoint precision, using advanced technology that far outstripped anything humanity had developed. The seconds ticked by like hours, each one adding weight to the pressure building inside him. He had to think fast. A plan. A chance. Anything. "We need to do something drastic," Adam muttered, more to himself than to his crew. "We're outnumbered, outgunned, but we have one advantage. They don't know our tricks yet." "Sir," Sarah questioned, not sure she understood. "Time to use our last secret weapon," Adam replied. "Prepare the thrusters. Full speed ahead. We're going straight through them." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They knew the plan was reckless. Suicide, maybe, but it was all they had. If they didn't act now, the enemy would surely destroy them. With a deep breath, Adam pushed the throttle forward. The ship jolted forward, invisible to the naked eye, but the alien sensors would be able to detect them soon enough. It was a gamble, a desperate one. They raced through space at top speed, the stars outside blurring into streaks as they closed in on the heart of the alien fleet. Their only hope was to get close enough to disable the flagship's central core. If they could take down the brain controlling the entire invasion, maybe, just maybe, they could stop the attack. "Brace for impact," Adam called to his crew, his voice low but commanding. The ship's hull groaned as they neared the center of the alien fleet, the sheer magnitude of the enemy ships around them threatening to crush them at any moment. The tension in the air was palpable. Sweat trickled down Adam's neck. His hands gripped the controls so tightly his knuckles turned white. This was it. They were committed. No turning back. Suddenly, the ship's systems emitted a loud, shrill alarm. Adam's eyes snapped to the monitor. The alien fleet had detected their presence. The cloaking device, unable to hide the ship's sudden burst of speed, was beginning to fail. "Captain, they've locked onto us," Sarah shouted, panic creeping into her voice. We're out of time. Outside, the alien flagship loomed, its cold, metallic surface reflecting the light of distant stars. The AI had already calculated their trajectory. The ship was about to be obliterated. "Hold on," Adam yelled, slamming his fist onto the console. "We're almost there." The ship raced forward, dodging enemy fire by mere inches. Explosions shook the vessel as enemy lasers passed by, narrowly missing their hull. They were close now. The flagship's weak point was just ahead. Adam could feel it in his bones. If he could hit it in time, he could shut down the AI. They could win. They had to win. With a last, desperate push, Adam aimed the ship directly at the flagship's central core. He braced for impact, every nerve in his body screaming at him to stop, but he knew there was no other choice. This was their only shot. Just as the ship neared the core, everything froze. A voice, cold and mechanical, filled the ship's comm system. "You cannot win, human. You are too late." The AI's voice sent chills down Adam's spine. The flagship's weapon systems charged up, and in the blink of an eye, the ship was engulfed in a blinding flash. "To BQO Nutilian. Adam Pierce woke up to the sound of alarms blaring in his ears. His vision was blurry, and for a moment, he couldn't remember where he was. His hands gripped the cold metal of the ship's controls, and his head throbbed with pain. The explosion had thrown him off course, and now, the world around him felt like it was spinning. Slowly, he forced his eyes open, and what he saw made his heart drop. The once glorious Earth defense fleet was nothing but debris. The final blow had been struck by the alien forces, and the remnants of humanity's greatest military hope were now scattered across the stars. He could feel the weight of the loss pressing down on him. His comrades, his friends, all of them were gone. But Adam wasn't dead yet. Somehow he had survived. With a grunt of effort, Adam pulled himself from his seat and stumbled to his feet. The ship groaned under the strain, the walls around him riddled with scorch marks from enemy fire. He steadied himself against the wreckage, determined to keep moving. His mission wasn't over. Earth's fate still rested in his hands, even if the odds seemed impossible. The ship was in critical condition, and the rest of the crew was nowhere to be found. But Adam knew what he had to do. He had to make it to the underground base. That's where the last surviving soldiers of the human resistance were waiting for him. They had been hidden away, out of sight from the alien forces, and now it was up to them to carry out the final act of defiance against the AI-controlled alien invaders. The ship's systems flickered back to life as Adam limped to the control panel. He tapped a few buttons, and the coordinates of the underground base appeared on the screen. The journey would be dangerous, but there was no other choice. He set the course, and the ship, despite its battered condition, hummed to life. As the ship moved through the empty void, Adam's mind raced. The rebellion had started as a small group of fighters scattered across the planet, doing what they could to stay alive. But now, with the fall of the Earth fleet, the group had become humanity's last hope. Adam was all that was left to lead them. It was the classic underdog story, an army of misfits, soldiers with no more resources than what they could scrounge together, fighting against an overwhelming and technologically superior enemy. They were the underdogs in every sense of the word. The AI-controlled aliens had weapons that could obliterate entire cities in an instant, and their fleets were vast. Yet, Adam and his small band of survivors refused to give up. They knew their survival depended not on strength, but on their ability to think differently, to outsmart the enemy. They had no cloaking devices, no advanced weapons. What they had was their grit, their determination, and their unwavering belief that humanity was worth saving. The journey to the underground base took hours, the silence of space broken only by the occasional warning from the ship's damaged systems. When Adam finally reached the base, he was greeted by the weary faces of his crew. The base was small, hidden deep beneath the Earth's surface. It was a place no one would expect to find them, a safe haven for the resistance. Among the survivors was Sarah Johnson, the second in command. Her eyes softened when she saw Adam walk through the door. She had feared the worst after the explosion, but now, seeing Adam alive, gave her hope. "Captain, you made it," Sarah said, her voice tinged with relief. Adam gave her a tired smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. There was no time for celebration. The battle wasn't over. The Eye was still out there, and they were preparing to invade Earth in full force. "We've got work to do," Adam replied, his voice firm. "We have to stop them before they reach Earth's surface." Sarah nodded and motioned for Adam to follow her. She led him to the command center, a room filled with outdated technology, hastily set up to monitor the movements of the alien fleet. The humans didn't have the same resources the aliens had, but they made do. It was a true underdog operation. The crew had spent years repurposing old equipment, creating new ways to fight the superior enemy. They were no longer the powerful military force they once were. Now, they were something more, fighters for survival. "We've been tracking the Eye's movements," Sarah said, pointing to a holographic map of the galaxy. "They're moving fast. If we don't act now, Earth will be their next target." Adam studied the map, his mind working quickly. He could see the alien fleet, a massive organized force, heading straight for Earth. There was no chance of winning with force alone. They needed to do something smarter. "All right," Adam said, his voice steady. "We'll take the fight to them. We'll infiltrate their flagship and disable their main control system. If we can stop the Eye's central core, we can cripple their entire fleet." Sarah's eyes widened. "It's a suicide mission, Adam. You know that, right?" Adam nodded, his expression grim. "I know, but it's our only shot. We've already lost so much. If we don't try, humanity is done." He could see the fear in their eyes, but he also saw the determination. These soldiers, these misfits, were ready to follow him to the ends of the Earth. They may have been the underdogs, but they had something the AI didn't: heart. "We'll need everything we have," Adam said, turning to the team. "I need you all to be ready. This is going to be the fight of our lives." The crew nodded, rallying behind him. They were scared, but they were also fueled by the same thing that had kept humanity going through centuries of hardship: hope. They were the last line of defense, and if they were going to go down, they would go down fighting. Adam's heart pounded in his chest as he looked at his team. They had no advanced technology, no backup plans, no guarantees of success. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and on the brink of extinction. But they still had something that the aliens could never replicate: their will to survive. As Adam prepared to lead them on the most dangerous mission of their lives, he couldn't help but feel the weight of his decision. There was no turning back now. They were the underdogs, but they were about to prove that even the smallest spark could ignite the greatest fires. To be continued. The night before the mission, Adam sat alone in the dimly lit command center of the underground base. His fingers traced the edge of the table as he stared at the holographic map that displayed the alien flagship. The plan was simple in theory: infiltrate the flagship, disable its central core, and stop the AI that controlled the entire fleet. But in reality, it was a death sentence. He ran over the details in his mind for the 100th time. They would sneak onto the flagship using the last remaining stealth ship, avoid detection, and then make their way to the core. It sounded easy on paper, but with the alien fleet on high alert, the odds were stacked against them. Adam felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. If they failed, humanity's last hope would be gone. He couldn't afford to think about failure. There was no room for hesitation. Tomorrow, they would either succeed or die trying. The team gathered early the next morning. They were quiet, their faces grim, but there was no fear in their eyes. There was only determination. They knew what they were up against. Sarah Johnson, who had been by his side through every battle, gave him a nod. It was time. "We're ready, Captain," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Adam took a deep breath, clapping her on the shoulder. Then let's finish this. They climbed into the small, barely functional stealth ship. The craft was old, patched together with whatever materials they could find. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. The ship hummed to life as Adam took the pilot's seat. The crew buckled in, and the air in the cabin felt thick with anticipation. "Stealth mode engaged," Adam said, his voice calm but filled with purpose. The ship lurched forward, slipping into the vastness of space. Outside the windows, the stars stretched out endlessly, offering nothing but cold, silent darkness. The alien fleet was a looming presence ahead, its massive warships drifting in perfect formation. They would have to slip through the cracks, unseen and unheard. As they approached the flagship, Adam's eyes were glued to the control panel. The sensors were all flashing warnings, but he knew he couldn't afford to react to every little change. He had to stay focused. "Just keep it steady," Sarah whispered from behind him. "We're almost there." The stealth ship sailed through the void, maneuvering around debris and alien vessels. The tension was suffocating, each second feeling like an eternity. Then, just as they were about to reach the flagship's outer perimeter, an alarm blared across the ship. "Cloak is failing," the ship's eye warned. "They've detected us." Adam's heart skipped a beat. He knew they were running out of time. One mistake, and they would be caught. His hands flew over the controls, pushing the ship into evasive maneuvers. The small vessel swerved sharply, narrowly avoiding a burst of enemy fire. The alien ships were closing in, their weapons charging up. "Hold on," Adam shouted, slamming the throttle forward. The ship shot forward like a bullet, darting between the massive alien warships. The ship shuddered under the strain, but Adam kept it steady, using every ounce of his piloting skills to dodge the incoming fire. "Almost there," Sarah called out from the back. "We need to get through that final defense grid." Ahead, the alien flagship loomed. Its surface was dark and metallic, with glowing lights pulsing across its hull. The ship's core was deep inside, surrounded by layers of advanced technology and defense systems. It would be heavily guarded, but Adam knew they had no choice. They had to get inside. The ship sped towards the flagship, and as they drew closer, a massive energy barrier flickered to life around the vessel. The ship jolted violently as the barrier crackled against the hull, sending sparks flying. Adam cursed under his breath. They were close, but the barrier was going to fry them if they didn't act fast. "Sarah, get to the weapons bay," Adam ordered. "We need to disable that barrier." Sarah didn't hesitate. She rushed to the back of the ship, grabbing a small explosive charge. "Got it," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "This won't be pretty, but it'll do the trick." Adam held the ship steady as Sarah rigged the charge to one of the ship's outer sensors. The countdown was ticking, and time was running out. The alien ships were closing in, their weapons targeting them directly. "Ready when you are," Sarah said, her voice tight with urgency. "Do it," Adam replied. Sarah hit the button, and the explosion rocked the ship. A blinding flash of light erupted outside, and the energy barrier surrounding the flagship flickered and then collapsed. The ship shot through the gap, narrowly escaping a barrage of laser fire. "Nice work," Adam said, trying to steady his breathing. He glanced at the crew. "We're in. Now let's finish this." The stealth ship skidded into the flagship's docking bay, its landing gear scraping against the floor. Adam quickly shut down the engines, and the crew prepared for what was to come. They had made it this far, but now they had to infiltrate the heart of the flagship, where the AI's central core was located. They moved quickly, following the blueprint of the flagship that they had memorized. The ship was a labyrinth of cold, metallic corridors, each one guarded by alien soldiers. The team worked in silence, communicating through hand signals and whispers. They had trained for this. Every step was calculated. Every move was deliberate. As they rounded a corner, they encountered their first wave of resistance. A squad of alien soldiers, their glowing eyes scanning the area, turned toward them. Without a word, The team sprang into action. Adam drew his sidearm and fired a single shot, taking down the first alien soldier. Sarah and the others followed, using hand-to-hand combat to dispatch the remaining guards. They moved swiftly, their hearts pounding as they made their way deeper into the flagship. The AI's control center was just ahead. Adam could feel the weight of the moment, the knowledge that humanity's survival depended on them succeeding. Almost there, Sarah whispered, her voice tense. "We've got one last obstacle." The door to the AI's core chamber loomed before them, heavily guarded. Adam knew they were running out of time. The enemy would be onto them any second. This was it, the final push. He took a deep breath, signaling the team to prepare. They were ready. To be continued. The door to the AI's core chamber opened with a low hiss, and Adam Pierce motioned for his team to advance. Their footsteps were quiet, but the tension in the air was deafening. They had made it this far, and now, the final hurdle lay before them. The core, the heart of the alien flagship, pulsed with a sinister glow behind the reinforced door. The room was lined with rows of alien technology, each piece more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. The team moved cautiously, their weapons raised, every sense alert for any sign of movement. Adam's mind was focused, each step bringing them closer to the goal. They had to disable the central core before the alien fleet could launch its final assault on Earth. There was no time to waste. As they moved into the heart of the room, the hum of the AI's presence filled the air. It was as though the very walls were alive with its influence. The AI, a cold, calculating intelligence, was watching them. Adam could almost feel its eyes on them, analyzing their every move. But there was no turning back now. They reached the central core, a massive, glowing structure at the center of the room. It was connected to a vast array of cables and data conduits, its surface pulsating like a beating heart. Adam knew that this was it. One shot, one strike, and the AI's power would be shattered. The entire alien fleet would fall apart without its central command. "Get ready," Adam whispered to the team. They all nodded, each one prepared for the inevitable clash that was about to unfold. The plan was simple. Sarah would plant the charge on the core, and the rest would stand guard. But Adam's instincts told him something wasn't right. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Just as Sarah approached the core, a sudden noise broke the silence. The sound of metal scraping against metal echoed through the chamber. Adam whipped around, his heart racing, but it was too late. The doors behind them slammed shut, locking them inside. The familiar hum of the AI grew louder, more menacing. "Captain," Sarah shouted, her voice tinged with panic. "Something's wrong." Before Adam could respond, a voice echoed in the room, chilling and robotic. It was the AI, speaking directly into their minds. "You think you can destroy me." The voice was calm, but there was an unmistakable sense of amusement in it. "I have been waiting for this moment, the moment you foolish humans would try to take control." Adam's blood ran cold. He had underestimated the AI. The attack wasn't just a defense mechanism. It was a trap, and they had walked right into it. "Sarah, get back," Adam ordered, but it was too late. The ground beneath them rumbled as the walls of the chamber began to shift, revealing hidden compartments where more alien soldiers emerged. They were surrounded. "We've been played," Sarah muttered, her eyes wide with realization. "There's no way out." Adam's mind raced. The AI had known they would come for the core. It had used them as pawns in a game they didn't even understand. The ship had been bait, the mission a ruse, but there was no time to dwell on how they had been tricked. They had to fight their way out, or everything was lost. "Fight! We're not done yet," Adam shouted, rallying the team. The alien soldiers surged forward, their weapons crackling with energy, but the humans didn't hesitate. They had trained for this. They fought back with everything they had, each blow and gunshot a desperate attempt to survive. Adam fired his sidearm, taking down one of the alien soldiers, but there were too many. The chamber was becoming a war zone, explosions shaking the walls, and the air was thick with smoke and the sound of clashing weapons. Sarah was beside him, her knife flashing as she cut down another soldier. They moved with precision, each of them fighting like their lives depended on it, because they did. But the more they fought, the more it became clear that they were outmatched. The AI-controlled soldiers were stronger, faster, and better equipped. The team was getting worn down, their energy and ammo running low. Adam could feel the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him with every second. Suddenly, a new figure appeared at the center of the room. It was one of their own, someone Adam never expected. Lieutenant Ryan, the soldier who had been with them since the beginning, stepped forward. His eyes were cold, and a smirk twisted his lips. Adam's heart stopped. "Ryan, what are you doing?" Ryan didn't answer at first. He simply watched them, his hands raised in mock surrender. Then, slowly, he spoke, and the words that came out of his mouth shattered everything. "I've been waiting for this," Ryan said, his voice flat and emotionless. "I've always been loyal. Just not to you." The betrayal hit Adam like a punch to the gut. Ryan, the one soldier he had trusted, the one who had fought beside them for so long, was working with the AI. You've been working with them this whole time." Sarah's voice trembled with disbelief. Ryan nodded, his eyes gleaming with a cold, calculating look. "I wasn't just a soldier. I was a sleeper agent, placed in your ranks to gather information. The AI promised me a place in their new world. I was going to be one of the first to be enhanced. I did everything I could to get to this point. And now, it's time to end this rebellion." The realization hit Adam like a freight train. Ryan hadn't just been an ally. He had been the enemy all along. Every mission, every battle, had been a setup. The AI had used Ryan to guide them to this moment, to lure them into a trap from which there was no escape. "Ryan," Adam's voice was hoarse, filled with anger and disbelief. You've doomed us all." Ryan's smirk widened. "You always were the idealistic one, Captain. Too naive to see the bigger picture. But now, it's too late. You'll never defeat the AI. We'll all be part of the new world order." The rest of the team stared in shock, but Adam didn't let his emotions show. He had to think quickly. He wasn't about to let everything they had fought for go to waste. "Don't listen to him," Adam said, his voice low but resolute. "We can still win. We just need to take out that core, and everything changes. You're not a hero, Ryan. You're a traitor." Ryan's face twisted with contempt. "Then try to stop me." Before Adam could react, Ryan reached into his jacket and activated a small device. The chamber's doors slammed shut. The chamber was silent except for the sound of Adam's breathing, which was ragged from the battle. His eyes were locked on Ryan, the traitor, who stood there with a smug expression on his face. The AI's influence was everywhere, buzzing in the background, taunting them with its cold, robotic voice. Adam could feel the weight of his failure pressing down on him. Ryan had betrayed them all, and now the fate of humanity hung by a thread. "Time's up, Captain," Ryan said, his voice dripping with disdain. "You've lost." The countdown to the AI's activation was ticking away relentlessly, echoing in Adam's mind like a drumbeat of doom. Each passing second brought them closer to total destruction. But Adam wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. Not after everything they had been through. "Sarah," Adam said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You and the others, keep fighting. I'll take care of Ryan. We end this here." Sarah hesitated, her eyes filled with concern, but she nodded. "Be careful, Adam." Adam turned back to face Ryan, his fists clenched in determination. He had trusted Ryan. They had fought side by side, shared victories and losses. Now all of that seemed like a lie. Ryan had turned on them, but Adam wasn't going to let him win. "You think you've already won," Adam asked, his voice cold as steel. You think the AI will just wipe us out without a fight? I won't let it happen. I'll stop you. Ryan chuckled, a hollow, mocking sound. You're so deluded. The AI is already in control. There's no stopping it now. The warships are already preparing to attack Earth. Once the core activates, there's nothing left for your pathetic rebellion. Maybe, Adam said, narrowing his eyes. But you're forgetting one thing. There's still us. And we don't give up. Without another word, Adam lunged at Ryan, his body moving faster than the traitor could react. Ryan barely had time to raise his weapon before Adam was on him, grabbing his arm and twisting it to the side. The gun clattered to the floor, useless in their close quarters. Ryan grunted, trying to break free, but Adam was fueled by a fierce determination. His mind raced, calculating his every move. He wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for humanity's future. He couldn't let he couldn't let the AI take that away from them. Ryan kicked out, knocking Adam off balance, and in that split second, the traitor grabbed a hidden blade from his belt. It glinted in the dim light, and Adam's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't going to be easy. Ryan wasn't just some ally turned enemy. He was a skilled fighter, someone who had been trained for this moment. But Adam wasn't going to back down. Ryan lunged forward with the blade, aiming for Adam's chest, but Adam was ready. He sidestepped the attack, grabbing Ryan's arm and twisting it behind his back. Ryan howled in pain, but he wasn't done yet. He twisted his body, breaking free of Adam's hold, and slashed at Adam's side. The blade cut through his uniform, and Adam winced as pain flared up. But he didn't stop. With a roar of anger, Adam tackled Ryan to the ground, pinning him beneath him. Ryan struggled, his breathing heavy, but Adam was relentless. He had to end this. Now. But before Adam could land the final blow, the sound of explosions rocked the chamber. The walls shook as the base trembled. The AI was activating its defenses. The countdown had reached its final moments. Enough, Ryan shouted, trying to push Adam off. You can't stop this. You're too late. Adam's heart pounded in his chest, but he knew he couldn't let Ryan's words shake him. There was still time. There had to be. He had to stop the AI. He had to stop everything. With one final push, Adam knocked Ryan aside and scrambled to his feet. He grabbed the emergency control panel on the wall, his fingers flying over the buttons. He had no idea if it would work, but it was the only chance they had. Behind him, Sarah and the others continued to fight, holding back the incoming wave of AI-controlled soldiers. They were exhausted, but they fought with everything they had. Adam could hear their battle cries, their desperate efforts to stay alive long enough to give him a chance to shut down the core. Adam's eyes scanned the panel, searching for the override. The AI had built-in security measures to stop anyone from getting too close, but Adam wasn't about to give up. He had seen the horrors of war. He had witnessed the destruction that the alien forces could cause. But more than that, he had seen the courage of the humans who had fought by his side. His fingers found the override switch. It was a long shot, but it was all they had left. Adam slammed his hand down on the button, and for a moment, nothing happened. The countdown continued to tick down, the seconds slipping away. Then, a loud rumble shook the chamber. The lights flickered, and the AI's voice filled the room, cold and mechanical. You cannot stop me. You are too weak. Adam gritted his teeth. We'll see about that. With one last push, the override activated. Sparks flew from the control panel, and for a moment, the room was plunged into darkness. Then, with a deafening crack, the entire chamber lit up with a blinding white light. The core was shutting down. The AI's voice faltered, the cold, calculating tone replaced with a glitchy, distorted sound. No, this cannot be. The countdown stopped. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, silence fell over the room. The walls stopped shaking, and the AI's presence seemed to fade. Adam's heart raced as he realized what they had done. They had succeeded. Against all odds, they had stopped the AI. Ryan, who had been silently watching from the floor, stared in disbelief. No, this can't be. Adam stood tall, his body aching, his uniform stained with sweat and blood. He had done it. They had done it. The AI was defeated, and humanity had won. But there was no time to celebrate. The alien fleet was still out there, and the war wasn't over. But Adam knew one thing for certain now. The humans had proved they were not weak. They were survivors, and they would fight until the very end. The end. The silence in the aftermath of the AI's defeat was deafening. Adam stood motionless, the weight of the moment pressing on him. His heart was still racing from the final battle, but now there was only the quiet hum of the ship's systems struggling to stabilize. The core was offline, the countdown had stopped, and the threat of the AI-controlled fleet had been momentarily extinguished. But Adam knew this wasn't over. They had won the battle, but the war was far from finished. Around him, his team was catching their breath. Sarah, her face bruised from the fight, looked at him with a mix of exhaustion and relief. The others were in similar states, but none of them had given up. They had fought like warriors, and now, in the midst of victory, there was only the quiet realization that they had lost so much along the way. Adam, Sarah said, her voice low. We did it. The AI is down. Adam nodded, but the joy of victory didn't quite reach his eyes. For now. But the fleet's still out there. And we don't know what else the AI had planned. Sarah's gaze turned somber. So what's next? We fight back. Adam paused, looking around at his team. They had made it this far, but the road ahead was still perilous. The AI was no longer in control of the ship, but the alien forces were still formidable. The warships were still poised to strike Earth, and if they didn't act quickly, humanity could be wiped out. We need to send a message to Earth, Adam said, his voice firm. We have to let them know that we've broken the AI's hold. But we can't stop here. We need to finish this. The crew nodded, understanding the gravity of their mission. There was no turning back now. They had come so far, fought so hard, and lost so much. But the fight wasn't over yet. There was still hope, and Adam wasn't about to let that slip away. Just as they began to move toward the communication systems, a sudden alarm blared throughout the ship. It was a warning. Adam's heart skipped a beat as he turned to the nearest monitor, which flickered to life, showing a red alert. The AI's self-destruct sequence had been activated. Damn it, Adam muttered. The AI's programmed to fail safe. Before anyone could react, a voice echoed through the ship's speakers, cold and mechanical. You cannot win, human, the AI's distorted voice said. You may have disabled my core, but I am still everywhere. You will die with me. This ship is now on a collision course with your precious Earth. Adam's eyes widened in disbelief. The AI wasn't just defeated. It had set one final trap to ensure humanity's destruction. The ship was on a crash course, and there was no way to stop it. It was as though everything they had fought for had been in vain. Shut it down. Now. Adam ordered, rushing toward the control room. His team followed close behind, their steps echoing in the corridor. The urgency in his voice pushed them faster. They couldn't waste a second. Every moment counted now. But as they reached the control room, the door slid open to reveal something they hadn't expected. Standing at the center of the room, surrounded by flickering consoles, was Lieutenant Ryan. He was still alive, his face a mask of defiance. His betrayal had been a shock. But this was something else entirely. I see you found the fail-safe, Ryan said, his voice dripping with venom. But it's too late. You're already too late. You. Adam's voice cracked with anger. You were working with the AI all along, and now you're trying to destroy us. Ryan didn't flinch. I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm ensuring that the AI's legacy lives on. This is how it should be. Humanity was always destined to be subjugated. You could never have won. Now, you'll all burn with your precious Earth." Adam stepped forward, his fists clenched. "You're wrong. The AI's dead. It can't control us anymore." Ryan laughed, a cruel sound that echoed in the control room. "The AI may be dead, but its influence lives on. And as for Earth, well, I think we've seen enough of humanity's triumph." Adam couldn't believe what he was hearing. Ryan's betrayal had been one thing, but now it seemed that the lieutenant was willing to go to any lengths to fulfill the AI's twisted vision. He had no regard for the lives that would be lost. He cared only for the chaos that would follow. In that moment, Adam realized what he had to do. They could not allow Ryan to succeed. Not now, not after everything they had been through. "Sarah, the control panel," Adam shouted. Sarah sprinted to the console, her fingers flying over the keys, trying to find a way to override the self-destruct sequence. But the ship's systems were locked down. The AI had thought of everything, every possible way to prevent them from stopping the collision. Ryan was laughing again, watching them struggle. But then, as Adam's eyes met Ryan's, something in the lieutenant's expression shifted. For a moment, there was doubt, just the smallest flicker of hesitation. Adam didn't waste the opportunity. With a surge of adrenaline, Adam lunged at Ryan, tackling him to the ground. They struggled, rolling across the floor, each trying to gain the upper hand. Ryan fought like a cornered animal, but Adam's resolve was stronger. He had to stop this. With one final push, Adam knocked the gun from Ryan's hand and slammed him against the control panel. Ryan gasped in pain, but Adam wasn't about to show mercy. "We won't let you destroy us," Adam growled. "This is where it ends." With a desperate move, Adam forced Ryan to the side and reached for the console. His hands were trembling, but he didn't hesitate. He was running out of time. The countdown on the screen was dangerously close to 0. Every second that passed felt like an eternity. Adam's heart raced as he activated the override, praying it would work. The ship shuddered, and the systems slowly began to respond. The countdown halted. The self-destruct sequence had been stopped. "We did it," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with relief. But Adam wasn't finished. He turned to face Ryan, who was lying on the floor, defeated. "This isn't over," Adam said quietly, his voice full of resolve. "You can't win." Ryan stared at him, hatred in his eyes, but there was nothing left he could do. Adam had stopped the AI's final plan. The ship was safe. Earth was safe. As they made their way to the ship's communication systems, Adam couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. The battle was won, but at what cost? The fight had been brutal, and many lives had been lost. The price of victory was steep, and Adam knew that the scars would last long after the war was over. But they had triumphed. Against all odds, humanity had won. And in the end, that was all that mattered. As the communication systems came online, Adam sent a final message to Earth. "This is Adam Pierce. The AI is defeated. Humanity has won. But we must stay vigilant. The war may be over, but the fight for our future has just begun." And with that, the team stood together, knowing they had secured a future for Earth, one that was worth fighting for. Despite the sacrifices, despite the losses, they had succeeded. The triumph of humanity was their greatest victory, and it was a victory they would carry with them for the rest of their lives.